Reset button.
Really terrible lawyer. Like I've
Oh,
fallen and I can't get up.
I love those fucking commercials, man.
Yeah, that's the best part.
There's that one. I actually quoted it earlier today. There's that one where it's for an education. It's been running for years. The guy's like, "You're on the phone all day. Why don't you just go ahead and call?"
Yes, do it right now.
Yes.
Got nothing to lose. I'm so aggressive about it.
There's commercials that are like they're aimed at like wholesome people, but like you can tell the guy doing it, like the voiceovers, like he was a failed rapper who was trying to make it, and this is the best he could get. So he's trying to sound as professional as possible.
That fucking dude, that man is trying to scare you into like getting an education.
Hey you motherfucker, you need some life insurance, dog. What you sitting there waiting for, man? Yeah. They're all
you get the fuck to school before I come out there and kick your ass.
And you know it's one of those commercials that are like they're always louder than the other commercials that like come out of nowhere. I hate those commercials. They're like blare.
And it always ends with like an American Freight commercial where it's like, call 1-800-799-7100. Oh my god, this furniture's gonna go. Yeah, it always ends with that.
Yeah, that was so good. God, we're in the wrong game. Jesus Christ. Speaking of games, episode 26, guys. The reset button. We are back. My God, I don't know how it's taken this long, Tandem, but we have a very special guest this week. But until we get to that, my man, how have you been? How was your week? Where can everybody check you out? All that goodness.
My week's been really good. I like to start out with this. Went to King's Dominion yesterday. But the night before on our way, we got pulled over. So I got to go to court in Virginia.
Ugh.
Yeah. Speeding. Other than that, though, we still made it to the park. Went to Dinosaurs Alive. If you ever go to King's Dominion, Virginia, pay the $5. Do the walk around at Dinosaurs Alive. It's fantastic.
Are they, in fact, alive? Is it worth the walk?
I'll let you walk, and you can tell me about it.
No spoilers. You can't even give your own friend a spoiler on the dinosaurs.
You know what you can do? Travis, if you pull my picture off Facebook that I took of the dinosaur's ball sack, you will know that there's dinosaurs. Man, they are really realistic. So my week's been good. Doing the whole 7th anniversary Karen and I thing. So this is lucky 7 here.
Well, congrats to you and Karen. Congrats.
Thank you. Other than that, though, with what I've been up to, just nothing but working, jerking, and playing video games. Let's see here, though. Oh, yeah, that's right. Where can everybody check me out? At OTannensBum at Twitter. And I actually am trying to get on there more. If you guys didn't notice, I posted holy shit on Twitter for the first time in forever. So I'm trying to do that, trying to be in that. And of course, being part of Hibiki TMD. So Travis, how has your week been though, my brother?
Well, my week's been good. Before we get to that, good man, good God above. I do 1 million podcasts with this man. For the listeners of the Reset Button who aren't into pro wrestling and the other end of Hibiki TMD, my man who is on Kayfabe Today podcast with me on his channel at First Thing in the Morning on YouTube. He comes on guest spots and Slam Pigs all the time. But from First Thing in the Morning, like I said, at MtlBroski, Erik Emard. What's going on, dude? Far too long, and I'm glad you finally made your way down the aisle onto the Reset Button.
This is the most excited I've ever been to do a guest spot in my life. All I ever get asked to do is wrestling podcasts. So this is a nice change of pace because, I mean, my channel is basically a video game channel that has a wrestling podcast on it. But for some reason, I'm the wrestling guy. So I get a lot of demands to be a lot. I don't want to make myself that sounded so conceited. Holy shit. I get asked to be on wrestling podcasts, not so much gaming podcasts. So I'm really excited to be here. I've been harassing Travis a little behind the scenes. I've been harassing him for months on here. Subtly, I drop in the DMs, hey motherfucker, when am I coming on? I want to talk
subtle,
to
if you guys
Tannen.
know
Congratulations, by the way, on the 7-year anniversary.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I wanted to say it before, but I didn't want to spoil the surprise of my debut here on the reset button.
Well, man, the excitement is definitely on both ends. We were thrilled to have you. When I mentioned it to Tannen today, he was like, "Yeah!" So we thank you.
Yeah, I was excited when Travis brought it up. Like I was like, "Fuck yeah, get Broski on here." Fuck yeah. Like
I really enjoyed your guys' live show the last time I think it was the last episode, or it might have been the episode before
25.
that.
25 live.
Yeah, 25. Yeah, that was so much fun. Like you guys had a crazy chat for that one. It was really fun. So that was just like the last like incentive. I was like, I have to be on now. This show is so fun. So
I'm
glad to be here. Thank you very much for asking me.
No doubt,
problem.
man.
No problem.
Thank all you guys, the listeners, for stopping by that chat that day and all the feedback. It was tremendous. It was one of the best times I ever had doing an episode on the reset button. Those mid-afternoon delight streams, Tannen, they seem the route we should go sometimes if we're going live.
That was definitely when we can do them. Hey, I'm off Monday. Woo! That's possible. Yeah, right before your surgery. Wow, you're like, I can't eat.
Well, I'm
feeling shitty.
Speaking of the devil,
that's good. I can't wait for that.
That was the other thing I did want to tell everybody. Probably not going to be an episode next week, guys. Going under the knife. Not the knife from Ghosts and Goblins, but the actual knife. Having a little herniatal surgery, getting it done. But we will be back here in 2 weeks. Have no fear. I'll be up and ready to get it done. But Tannen, you asked how my week was. I have been playing the most random shit. Me and the missus, like, we got together around the old emulator, and like she was just like downloading all this shit. And have you ever played Mr. Nuts for the Sega, where you're a squirrel?
No, I haven't. But man, if Karen hears this, we're gonna have to play it now. You're a squirrel.
It's called Mr. Nuts. My interest is piqued.
With a C for the kid for the 90s fresh.
Oh, nice.
Maybe the most innuendos I've ever seen in a game. The first world is called Woody Land. The trees in the background are shaped like vagina holes. I'm not making it up. Go
is this
play.
An American game or is this a Japanese game?
I think it was a European only game. It may have come out in America too. I think this was only over there. I'm not 100 on that though.
I need to play this.
You get kind of bonkers. Or not? What was his name? The 3D Squirrel N64 game that we had. There we go, Conk. Thank you, Conker.
No, because it's totally it's aimed at kids. Like it's kiddie. It's like a Mario ripoff platformer kind of thing. It's kind of like Bubsy in a way, but worse than Bubsy, if you can imagine vagina trees and just craziness. And check that out. Also, a couple other Rambo 3 for the Sega was one we played. Just besides all the random shit, really, man, Injustice 2. I have been completely just 100% into that game as far as unlocking the skins and all that stuff, Tannen, like you talked about on prior episodes.
Yeah. And I haven't even gotten to play it that much. We haven't even played together online yet.
I know. It's
subtle.
Just relaxing, maxing and relaxing, playing a few oddball games here and there, but mainly Injustice in the PS4 has been my go-to as far as that. What about yourself there, Broski? I know you've been playing some Mass Effect Andromeda, which by far, from what I've seen in your videos, because I've never played it, it seems like it's gotten a bad rap because it looks like a good time.
Yeah, I really don't get it. I don't get where this bad rap. Okay, granted, I've seen the videos on YouTube with the wonky animations and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, fine, that happens. That to me is aesthetic. It's not that big a deal. Yeah. As far as the actual game goes, though, I've been really enjoying it. And when I got it because I'm a Mass Effect fan. I had heard all the complaints, and granted, I'm only about 2 hours in, so they might be later on in the game, but so far I'm absolutely having a blast. I love it. I love the Mass Effect. I love the whole thing of I like the whole thing of visiting different planets and different solar systems. That was really attractive to me with the first couple of Mass Effects, and I didn't even really bother the terrible ending of 3. Like I don't. More times than not, I'm not playing a game for the story. I'm playing the game to shoot the shit out of stuff. That's pretty much why I play video games. It's once in a while a game will come along where the story really grips me, but it's not the strong suit of the medium, in my opinion. I find I'm more of a gameplay kind of guy because I come from Nintendo. When the story used to be, you're on the left side of the screen, now you have to be on the right side of the screen. There's your story. Have fun.
You want story? Read the instruction manual.
Yeah. Exactly. If they came with them anymore, right? And that's a lost art. The lost art of the video game manual. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. That's really fun. I've been watching a lot of Rocket League. Our buddy Logan has been streaming that. I have Rocket League on my computer, but I really suck at it. So it's fun to watch somebody that's good at it. And I've been watching a lot of Stardew, and I restarted a farm in Stardew Valley. Completely addicted to that. I got addicted to it when it came out. It was one of these games that I kind of just caught by pure dumb luck on Twitch. I just saw this girl playing a game, and I was like, this looks like Harvest Moon. Is this Harvest Moon? Like, I didn't know. And I went to look at it. And for those of you who might not know, it is a lot like Harvest Moon.
Yeah, it's like Moon on steroids.
Yeah,
basically.
I was about to say, like, because I thought that actually Stardew Valley was a Harvest Moon game.
Yeah, me too, when I first saw it. But then it's Harvest Moon, but there's this, like, little dungeon crawler.
Really?
Yeah, there's this little dungeon crawler because you have to go into these mines and mine minerals and stuff. But in the mines, there's all these enemies, and there's several different levels to the mines. And the enemies and everything get progressively harder. And then I find out you can upgrade your weapons, your equipment, armor, and all that shit. So there's even a little RPG element thrown in there. And then if that's not enough, you got a little dating sim. You walk around, you give your love a couple of presents. And then she moves in with you, and then you get a bigger house and a bigger bed. It's crazy. Like I was a big Harvest Moon fan. And, so was I.
And my last one that I really, really played was A Wonderful Life.
Right.
And so it's like that, but it actually like gives you enemies and shit.
I kind of always.
I'm intrigued.
I've always equated this game to what I've seen because I've never played it yet either. But I've seen a lot of footage, like you did, Broski, before you dove into it. It's like 16-bit Skyrim.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah,
basically.
in a way. Yeah.
Top
it
down
really is.
Skyrim, 16-bit stuff.
But
And
you're still harvesting stuff and dating. I like this.
And like you can go fishing, and the fishing mechanic is really fun. You kind of got to get this fish in a colored bar and maintain it in that bar for a couple of seconds, and then you catch the fish. And it's just really, there's a lot of little Easter eggs, and there's like every once in a while there's a train that'll come into town, and there's some goodies that can fall off the train, so you got to be there when the train is there. And it's just, there's so much, like, it's what struck me the most about it. One is one guy made it. It's a project by one dude. And the second thing is when you look at it and you start playing it, it's very simplistic. But as you advance in the story, and as you advance and you start like kind of dating and going into the mines and fishing and doing all kinds of different things, it gets really, really engaging. And it's like you're like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. But then you're like, okay, one more day. It's one of those games where you're just like, one more day. Like when I first started playing it, I had to fight myself to go to bed. Like, because I was like, I got a farm. I'm 4 days away from harvesting my tomatoes, and then I can buy a new bed, and then I can turn this into jam. And like, it's crazy. Like, I could talk about it for hours. I highly recommend it.
You know,
and it's got one of the
I should have
best.
said more like Animal Crossing mixed with Skyrim because of the timed events, I guess.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, there's that. But and it has one of the most relaxing soundtracks of recent memory. Like, it's fantastic. I can't, like, you guys have to stop me because I'm just gonna sit here and gush about this game.
What platform are you
Everything.
playing?
I played it on Steam, and I have it. I played it on my PC originally, but now I got it on my Xbox, so it's easier for me to capture footage on Twitch to start making videos.
Looking at it, do they have a mobile version of it too? Or
yes, they do. I think they do. Yeah, I think it's on iOS, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but I seem to have heard or read somewhere that it is. If it's not out yet, it's coming.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks like it's easily convertible to that. So
yeah, it's coming to Switch as well.
I got to say, I have yet to ever see, for anyone that's gotten into the game, a bad review on it. It's one of those, like, it's amazing, apparently.
It's just one of those games that, like, if the only people I've ever heard talk smack about it, when I ask them, I'm like, well, have you played it? Well, no. I just looked at it. Well, it's one of those games where if you're just looking at it, yeah, it just looks like this boring little kind of farm sim. But once you get invested, and once you're like, okay, well, I'm going to have my potatoes here for the first half of the month, and then I'm going to have some cabbage over here, and that'll tide me over to the next month. Oh no, winter's coming. I better stock up. You know, it's like, It's crazy. Like, you get into this whole, like, I just got like this farming. Like, I almost left the bustling city to go out to the country and start my own farm. I was so inspired.
It seems like for this gen, like this style game, this and Undertale are kind of like the Final Fantasy 3 and Secret of Mana of that generation, which is getting a remake, guys. Like my professional ass segue there. Secret
was
of Mana
awesome.
trailer remake actually dropped like yesterday or today. I like what I've seen. Of course I'm excited about it. Two things: the voice acting is horrible, and number two, it's not on the Nintendo Switch. It's not going to be on the Switch.
And that's what got me as well. I was like, wait,
That's
none of that.
dumb.
And I don't even own a Switch, and I was like, what?
Yeah, me either. I was like, really?
I mean, Tim Allen noise at that one. Like, really? You're not gonna put that on the freaking Switch? Here's the thing that I feel about it, though. Here's the vibe that I get. I bet you they put it on the Switch like 4 years from now. That kind of shit's gonna go down with it. That's just that's all I think. But I really think, though, like Travis, like you sent me this as well. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I want to play it. I really want to play this game. I love the original.
And I was so happy when I found out it comes out. It's coming out on PC as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a PS4, so when I saw it, I was like, "Oh my God, Secret of Mana!" And then I'm like, "Oh Christ, it's PS4."
And that's what makes it funnier for me, because it's even going on PC, but not even on the Switch. You know what I mean?
That's weird. But is it out or is it coming out?
It's coming out.
Okay.
Soon, sooner than later, apparently. What did you guys think of the voice acting you heard? Because personally, I thought this should have no voice acting. Just text.
I'm with you on that, but yeah, whatever. Like everybody wants to have some form of voice acting these days. And there's something about cheesy voice acting that still makes me smile and laugh. You can always turn it off. You know, like
True.
If they at least if they give you that
option. Shouldn't have to, I guess. It's a principle.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like going back though, you know, like I don't know. With the whole voice act, remember months ago how I bitched about how I couldn't play Zelda in Japanese? Now I can. You know, the fucking oh, come on. My good old WoW game. Sorry, I'm forgetting titles here. But yeah, Call of the Wild,
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Thank you so much.
It's not the Ted Nugent hunting show, because I think that was called Call of the Wild.
Yeah, you know. 1,000 fans are going to be screaming at it right now. But...
What a sick reference.
Only here can you find Ted Nugent and Zelda references.
Still though, remember like when I got Breath of the Wild and I was like, I can't switch the spoken language. They made a patch that I could do that, by the way. So like it's fun to play like in Japanese. Also I have German, French, and I think like 6 other languages that I can pick from. It's fun to switch them around though. But like as far as like horrible voice acting goes, you know, like I will agree that the voice acting's horrible. But sometimes when I play a game, you know, horrible voice acting takes me back sometimes.
Oh,
to an earlier time when times were simpler. You know, like 1998, we were just getting it.
Back when games were games, damn it.
I mean, there's times like that where it's so bad it's good, but then there's times I think of Final Fantasy X with Tidus, and I'm like,
I was just about to say that, dude. That's hilarious.
God.
Ha 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 ha.
I even have the remaster on PS4, and it's still just as cringe.
It still sucks. It still sucks.
It does. It's just with
so
prettier
bad.
graphics and higher suckage, basically.
Hey, you know, I challenge, go back and go to YouTube and listen to the voice acting from the original Silent Hill. It's better than the original Resident Evil. But I love
fucking Dino Crisis, but my God, sometimes. Some of those times back then, but I mean, we've come a long way with voice acting, so I guess we can't complain too much. And like you said, Tannen, we definitely live in an era where nothing's set in stone anymore due to patches. Look at fucking No Man's Sky; it's like a new game now that's actually fucking good. Apparently.
Is it worth it? Because that game has always intrigued me, but the level of anger and hate that was sent it turned me completely off.
I'm exactly the same way on
it. The patches make it an okay game. I've played it, but it's one of those games that, like, if you really want to sit down and dedicate your time to it, it'll probably be great.
Right.
Outside of that.
Because, I mean, the way they were talking about it, I was, like, on the edge of my seat, and I'm like, I need this now. This sounds amazing.
Dude, they marketed it so well.
They did such a good job, but they didn't really...
It's a mediocre game.
It reminded me of all the hype around Fable, you know? How Molyneux, like, just praised this game like it was gonna revolutionize everything, and then I played it, and I was like, it's kind of crappy. Like,
pretty much.
It was crappy in the context of what was promised.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I mean, Well, I mean, with No Man's Sky, you get the patches and everything. The game is better than what it was, but it still isn't the. I don't know. You got to be really into it to really like it. You do have your No Man's Sky fans.
Yeah.
So I mean,
people since day one too that have hung on that have nothing but praise.
That have been all about it. Yeah,
I've definitely seen both sides, of positive and negative.
I
just so never knew like what I was kind of like you, Eric. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I just never made a decision. I guess I put it off.
Yeah, and other things in the meantime with better kind of reviews or better kind of word of mouth kind of made me forget about it, but it was always there in the back of my mind because I still remember like the spaceship taking off a planet, then heading into orbit, then being in outer space, and then finding another planet and going there, and it's just like, oh my god, like this is crazy,
guys. I would say, I guess besides Mass Effect Andromeda is the closest thing that reminds me of this. I can't think of any game in recent time that had that many sides of the fence to it in a long time.
But that's what it is. It's a what do I do game. It's you do what you want. Just
no, not that. I meant what do I do as the consumer, because I was listening to all these negative. Yeah, I didn't mean what do I do in the fucking game. I know it's an explorathon in the game, and you scan plants all day. But...
Yeah, that's all you're doing. You're basically taking inventory.
Yeah,
inventory of the game.
It's not an action-packed game, and that's what threw a lot of people off.
You are pulling an inventory audit on a fucking universe. Is what you're doing in that game. Mm-hmm. I mean, you might as well be working in a warehouse.
But there's a market for people that are into that, and as we've seen, and that was what was good about it. I think it was different in that aspect.
But I'm not bitching about the game either. I really thought it was brilliant, but it wasn't for me.
You just think, in your opinion, the ends didn't justify the means with that game? Like, it wasn't worth it?
Not for my time, no.
Right. Well, that happens. That depends on the person more times than not, too, I guess, in circumstances. But I'm going to consider it now more than... Apparently, there's like 30 to 40 plus hours. They've added all kinds of updates, like we said. But we'll see if it's worth it in the long run. Speaking of dedicated fan bases, people going nuts... What are the trials and tribulations this week, Tannen, with what's going on with the SNES Classic? You know that commercial dropped.
Oh boy!
Did you guys see? First of all, let's get the good. The very few good out of this weekend. That kick-ass commercial. It was done well. It was very 90s. I liked it. That's about all the positives I have to say though about Nintendo.
And that's about it, because you can't get it anymore. Guess what? You're not gonna find it. GameStop, and I sent you the link the other day. Sold out. What a bunch of fucking, I don't know, whores. They're out. How are you out of something that's not even out yet, but you're out of it? Wow. And then I hear other companies are kind of crashing down on it. Some of them I don't want to list. But wow, and they even tried to limit it to a per person thing. A lot of these companies did. But I don't know, man. I really think I should have taken my last commissions check and bought the living fuck out of every SNES Mini that I could.
I don't.
Filthy scalper.
I think
yeah, right. Yeah, for once, I should have become a scum fuck reseller. Fuck these people making this much money off of it. But at the same time, it's just you know what? You're being smart. You're being a smart person.
Well, some things are being handled better this time. Like two or 3 weeks ago, we talked about the UK eBay, like shutting it down.
Yeah.
So that was a very, very big positive.
Well, because they were shutting down people bidding on pre-sales for fuck's sake.
Jesus,
it's ridiculous.
Even before the pre-sales were even out. That's how bad it was. And Nintendo,
how's that even work? For one, I'm just come on.
I feel like Nintendo is like a person pretending to have a small sperm count on purpose when it comes to these fucking things.
It's completely true.
But that's Nintendo's MO. That's what they always do. Yeah. They did that with the N64. They did that with I specifically remember the N64 because I made my poor mother drive me to 6 different stores to find one because they were unfindable. They always do that. They did it with the SNES when I was 8 years old. Yeah. We had to go to a bunch of different stores. We ended up having to go. Finally, Kmart in Hagerstown somehow got a shipment of 2 of them.
Yep.
And we drove all the way back from Clear Spring after driving all over the fucking 4-state area
And you'd
for
have
them
thought
to
like
like
some
leave a
big
message.
celebrity like Ted Danson or somebody came to Hagerstown. No, it was just two NES classics.
Yeah. And they were like, "Hey, you like called earlier today. We have 2 of them." And then we called. We're like, "We have 1 of them."
Shout out to our buddy Kelly at Kelly Elsman on Twitter, Tana, who's been on the reset button before. Literally 3 hours ago on Twitter, he's out in like the Arizona area. He put up a tweet, "Oh, my local Walmart or whatever has some," and then like 5 minutes later, he's like, "Nope." It was already done. It was. I mean, it was funny, but not. I mean, he laughed at himself, of course. I wasn't like making fun of him. It's crazy.
This whole frenzy with this though is fucking ridiculous. We got a NES Mini in the store. We don't even know what the fuck to price it at right now. We're fucking worried about it. Like it's like, we're like holding it back because we're like, what the fuck do we slap on this? Like, look, what is it? What is it worth to us as a store? You have me, who's like one of the gamers at the store. There's 3 gamers that work at the store. And then like the rest of the team is non-gamers. And like they're like, well, I think we should slap it with this. And then you have me, and I'm like, well, I mean, do we want to be a scumfuck reseller, or do we want to,
Yeah.
There's a moral question here.
It's business though.
Too.
At the end of the day, too. You gotta look after.
Now my boss jokes that at best he was just like, if a mother comes in with her cancer patient child, and all he wants is an NES Mini, I'm just going to take it off the shelf and give it to him. I'm like, well,
yeah, come on. Fuck. God, way to go from one extreme to the other.
Man, had me busted up fucking laughing.
Broski,
because
since we've never had you on here before and we've never like got your 2 cents on this, what is your whole take on this? From the NES Classic, its unveiling last year to this. Do you get? I've always said I get the appeal to it. It's beautiful, like how it's little shelf candy and it's so accessible and you can hack it so goddamn easily. But is it worth this fucking clamoring and this utter stupidity?
You can't put cartridges inside of it, man.
That's my biggest thing. And as someone who still owns an original Nintendo with controllers who have wires that make it to my couch, I've been kind of a Debbie Downer about it because I just don't see the usefulness to it. Now, I do think the SNES Classic does have a better lineup of games, but I also still have my Super Nintendo. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't really, it's not for me. I don't feel like it's for me.
And at the end of the day, you have your fucking PC. Let's face it.
Exactly. There's that.
And a lot of, more times than not, I feel like the people that we see going out of their minds, and this is not a shot to my buddy Kelly we just brought up, are people that already own all these games for the most part. And I'm just like, what am I watching? Like, I just don't get it, I guess. Especially, and, come at me, people. All these games are easily free and accessible on any PC too on an emulator with a fucking Xbox 360 controller. Let's cut the shit. Let's tell it like it is for once. This is dumb to go out of your minds over this, people. Just, God, at this point with these fucking, you have EverDrives out there. You have all these other options. I just don't get the insanity.
You have these little like Steam box things that you can even fucking slam those emulators on with wireless controllers that you could buy wireless controllers that are like the same gun. I'm sorry.
But I feel like, and I know for a fact that Nintendo does this because every time they do something like this, people, they bitch and complain. They put out hashtags that hate Nintendo. But at the end of the day, they come back for a second helping a bullshit time and time again because Nintendo's smart enough to know that their IPs are so ingrained of these adult gamers' childhood that they got them by the balls. They're always going to buy their stuff. And we see it happening, and it's depressing, and it's sad, but it's true. We're all guilty of it sometimes. Everybody's guilty of that, certain times. But
I mean, it's smart. It's a hell of a smart move on Nintendo's part because the nostalgia for it is obviously there. Like, I think just the amount of demand and how difficult it is to get these consoles, it proves that. But like I said, it's not for me. I have my consoles. I have the games I want for those consoles. I do think that if I'm going to give myself a little moment here, but they are cute. The consoles are cute. But am I going to spend $80 for a cute console of something that I have that I can't put my games in? No, I'm not.
Well, and also, one of my biggest turn-ons when I got my Wii U, which was only not even 2 years ago, I finally got a Wii U, but it was getting on the Nintendo eShop, and that library to me blew my mind away. I like playing my games back in my room. with my system and everything. But like to have it on my like big ass living room TV, you know, that turned me on too. Like I was like, I can live with this, you know. And then it's just like, are you fucking serious? Like, there are people that are paying people privately like up to $400, $500 for these small ass systems, and I just don't see the point in that at all.
I will say this for the SNES Classic, the list of games is impressive, and I think they got a lot of really, really good ones in there.
Yeah, but it's nothing shy of the Wii U. The only thing that I can't find that's off of that library is Star Fox 2.
Which essentially is Star Fox 64.
It's Star Fox 64.
Which I didn't do. When you told me that this week, Travis, I didn't know that. So that's like, that was the one thing that I was like, I've never played that before. But then when you're like, well, it's just like, you know, an updated.
You're just playing an SNES version of Star Fox 64.
And I was like, well, I can't even use my Rumble Pack.
We've talked about the development of that game and how the game was done. It was in the box, and then Star Fox 64 was on its way, and they just purposely didn't put it out. You said, Tannen, right? They just held it off.
Yeah, they just held it off. They were like, no. Man, I would love to get my hands on one of those.
They knew they were like, why put out a half-assed version when we have the real fucking deal coming out anyway? Like, but that doesn't make sense either, because with the Super Nintendo NES era, you would see that. You would see the SNES, the good version, but you get an NES port.
But if you think of it from a programming standpoint, all we have to do is add voice acting and up the graphics. That's not going to cost that much. Exactly. Let's just fucking do it. It's going to make us more money.
But shout out to our buddy Crooked at Killstone Gaming. And I agree with him for the most part about. You definitely get your money's worth if you look at the prices for the actual games. I mean, there's some games in here that are expensive.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Earthbound. Don't get
just
drunk.
Earthbound itself.
And like you said, Eric, the quality is so much better than the NES, and there's so many more hours of gameplay here by far.
There is.
But I have Earthbound, both of them, the NES one and the fucking Super Nintendo one, on my Wii U. I spent fucking $12 on it. 12 fucking bucks.
Is that
Earthbound like $10 alone on the Wii U?
Oh, yeah, dude, Earthbound, I will pay, like, if I didn't have it on my computer and other different ways I could play it, I would pay, like, $50 and be fine.
Yeah,
I fucking love that game.
Yeah, like, for the Wii U Virtual Shop or whatever, though, it was so weird. It was like every single SNES game was like $8 or something, Tannen.
Oh, right.
Earthbound was 10, though. It was like the only one.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That was one of the first ones I bought, though, because I was like, I hope this doesn't get taken down.
I will say to this day, we don't talk about Earthbound enough on the show. We got to remedy that in the future. Hey, if we have an Earthbound special,
yes,
Popular MtlBroski, he's a big.
I think we should have an Earthbound.
One of the most eclectic.
We can't do it tonight. I think that should be our Halloween special. Is Earthbound?
I will pay you to be able to be on that show.
You could pay us in SNES Classics from up north.
Oh, God. Dude, Earthbound is my favorite game of all time. I could talk forever about that game. I fucking love Earthbound.
It's seriously the most underrated soundtrack, and I think classic gaming. It's so eclectic. And there's
soundtrack's fucking awesome. The gameplay's awesome, too, and the names of the enemies. I'm sorry.
The New Age Retro Hippie. That's the one.
Do you know the one guy?
New Age Retro Hippie.
What's the name of the guy during the beginning of the game? He looks just like Frank from Pat the NES Punk. You know what I'm talking? Like he's at the junkyard or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I screenshotted me playing that like 2 or 3 years ago, and I sent it to Pat, and he retweeted it, and that's how I first kind of got introduced to Pat and all them, was through that game from a Frank sprite. It was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, if you don't like, and I've met people that don't like Earthbound. I don't get it because it's a great game. It really is.
Well, I mean, it's so different, and I mean, I'm just gonna shut up because if I go off and I start talking, but I think one of the things, it's so different than any other RPG that came out at the time that it automatically turned people off. But for me, like, because the first time I played it was in a video store, like I rented it, right? And the reason why I rented, I was like, look at this box, it's so big. This game must be amazing if it needed a box this big. And then it came with the player's guide and the scratch and sniff stickers. Oh my God, nostalgia right to the brain, boys.
I'm not gonna lie though, as a kid, that was kind of like I opened. I was so, why is it so big? And it was a book. And I was like, oh, that's why. But it was awesome, But it was just like, I don't know.
When I was a kid, it was just the cartridge. I borrowed it, and like the buddy that I had was just like, I don't really like that game, and like I was like, well, I want to borrow it because it had good guess. But
Are you fucking
Playcast.
serious? I knew
Yeah.
it. Shout out to you.
But also though, the alien looked like the alien from The Day the Earth Stood Still, and I was a huge fan of that fucking movie. And I was just like, this cover looks fucking awesome. And this is the same kid who also owned Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and that's how I first played that game. So I was just like, dude, like every game that I play that has awesome cover art at your house, like I have to fucking borrow this. And like that was another reason. I don't really like that one, you know. Like so I was like, "Fuck yeah, well, can I borrow it?"
So I think we should do a special episode like one week, like top three most deceptive cover arts, where like the arts looked awesome, but the game is just
well. Even the first screen that you see in Earthbound looks nothing like the rest of the game.
Oh hell no!
Like with all the static, like all the
static,
the TV static,
and then stood still, and just well,
and then the UFO, and like Gygus is coming, and you're like, what am I getting into? And then you start the game, and it's like this little like friendly cartoonish looking thing.
And your mom telling you to wake up, and here's some fucking food or something.
Oh god,
eventually
damn it,
to the land of the weird looking penis people.
I tell you what,
yes, Mr. Saturns.
Yes,
boing boing. Boing,
everyone
boing.
had a dad like the dad in Earthbound. Like it'd be a better. Like he had so much money to lend you.
Yeah,
put $2,000 more in your bank account every day.
Here's a few more bucks. Hey guys, I have to personally take a break. If you guys want to keep on talking, go ahead.
I want to tell a quick Earthbound story because you know how you can pick your favorite food. Well,
yeah.
Oh my god, I always put pussy so that when your mom told you to go to bed, she was like, "Here, have some pussy and go to bed." I was like, "Well, thanks, Mom."
We may or may not have put the same thing in. I did that too.
Of course we did. Of course we did.
Yeah, dude. What about the ones for NES? Did you ever get a chance to get your hands on those? The ones that came out prior?
No, I didn't actually. I never got to play with them. Play them. I've always been interested, but I've always found like the Japanese versions, and I never got like an English version.
Oh, so I could totally shoot you one with an English hack.
I would love that. I would love that because I'd be dying to see how it all started, you know. And
right.
But yeah, no, I mean, God,
and of course, with like, do you remember like the starmen.net website or whatever, and like the Mother 3 petitions and all that stuff? Hopefully, everyone gets what they want with that. People have been dying for it for so long.
God, do you remember the screenshots that were in Nintendo Power for like the Earthbound 64 that never came out?
For the it was when they're gonna put the
disc drive out.
The disc drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Dude, I remember looking at that and being, oh my God, a new Earthbound, and then it kept waiting. It kept getting delayed, and then the disc drive never came out in North America, and I was like, no.
I know Tannen just walked out, but I feel like he's still here. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. We literally talked about the same thing, and his like line was exactly the same about his excitement for that, because he did the same thing with that game with the Nintendo Power.
I was so like, because I had a Nintendo Power subscription from the ages of like, I think maybe 11 to like 16, 17. So like I used to be all up on all Nintendo news. I knew everything that was coming out, this is like, keep in mind, this is before internet was really easily accessible, right? So like, well, maybe not that it was easily accessible to me, I guess I should say, because I didn't get a real computer that could go on the internet till I was 18. So magazines were all I had. And I remember like getting them, like coming home from school, getting the Nintendo Powers and just like devouring every page, like just like looking at all the pictures. And then there was posters, and we should do a Nintendo Power episode if you haven't, because
that would be awesome. You know, another one I love, like we had the Nintendo Power subscription, but my parents stopped it for some reason, and I think they went with the Game Pro one because it's cheaper. But we had Game Pro my whole childhood. Game Pro too.
I had Game Pro as well. I had Game Pro and Nintendo Power.
We're just talking over old gaming magazines.
No. Like I was not a Game Pro fan. We had a free trial there, and I got to choose at one point. Like, what do you want? Do you want the Nintendo Power? Or I Nintendo Power. See, I didn't have Sega though. Like all I had was Nintendo shit at the time, other than my Game Gear. So like, dude, it was just like, I'm sticking with Nintendo Power.
A couple other things going on, guys. And Tannen, I don't know your 2 cents on this because we've actually never talked about the next batch of fighters was released for Injustice 2. You had Black Manta, Hellboy, and Raiden, and a lot of people very salty on the decision to put another Mortal Kombat character in. And I kind of get it. the plethora of people they could work with in the universe. What's in the Injustice story itself in the comics to work with? I mean,
just to point out, I knew Raiden was coming.
I mean, yeah, it was so obvious that silhouette.
That was like looking at the shadows of the Guild of Calamitous Intent and not knowing who they were. Like, you know, if you weren't a Venture Brothers character though, because they never revealed them. But like looking at it there, it was just like looking at the Guild and be like, oh, well, there's Raiden. Like, you know. How could you be salty about that? Come on, you saw it coming a mile away.
We need more Venture Brothers references. I'm just saying.
But like, regardless, though, like, I want to play as Raiden. I'm excited that Raiden is in the game. Why the fuck not? I mean, I know it's a DC game, but it still has that Mortal Kombat element. And yeah, we already had who was it? Scorpion, right?
I mean, they've done this since DC versus the Mortal Kombat universe on 360.
Yeah. Well, that was full on.
We've seen that, but I guess because, you know, in the comics, I just didn't want to see any outside shit that's not, because I love the fact that they're keeping the story mode and stuff so close to everything that was actually happening. But it's whatever. It's a DLC character. I don't think people need to lose their shit over it.
No.
A couple guys.
Nobody lost their shit about Alien or Predator being a fucking character. So
Alien's one of the most fun characters to be in Mortal Kombat, honestly.
Hell yeah.
I'm just disappointed with Raiden. Like, Raiden's such a lame character.
I was gonna say that too. Of all the Mortal Kombat characters to work with, it's Raiden. Like, I know in the story he's a god, but we've evolved so much with our characters in Mortal Kombat. There's way cooler characters at this point.
Yeah, but I think to fight a superhero, I guess you can.
I guess. Look at this guy, in context and everything. Jeez, what a pro!
You know what? It is called Gods Among Us.
Fair enough.
Throwing it out there.
I need to pick that up. I've heard nothing but really good things. So.
Oh yeah, you should, dude. I mean, it is a really good fucking game. I am very enthralled with it. And just the thing with me and the DLC characters is if you just wait until after they're all out, then it's just like get all the DLC a month after like the last ones are released. Get all the DLC characters for $10.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, God damn it, you know, like I made the mistake with the first one and bought DLC characters when I had the PS3 version at that, and they didn't transfer to my PS4 version.
Oh, that's dirty.
You know, well, it did because it was the ultimate version, is what I'm saying. Like, I spent basically like each character's what? Like in this, is it $5 a character? $6.
And you know the ultimate version is coming.
Yeah,
I'm not buying any of them. I'm waiting too, because you know that version.
Yeah. I'd rather go out and get their fucking like statue or a fucking action figure for $6.
I'll just pop in Mortal Kombat XL while I'm waiting for the full version to come out, I guess. But I didn't exactly mean to pick the game up. Like my girlfriend ordered it through her work, where it like takes a little bit out of your pay each week, and she got it for like $2, and she's like, "Hey, I got you this game." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I mean, it's Injustice too. It's cool to have, but I would have waited. But just kind of happened. But it's
I couldn't wait. It came into the shop and I bought it for $20, and it had been out for a month.
You can't pass up $20 on it. It's a new game still.
Yeah, I know. It was still going for $60, so I was just like, "Oh yeah, I need this in my life. Like, let me just take this."
Sometimes things you need in your life. Sometimes things I just don't get in life. I'm pretty sure both of you have Final Fantasy 15, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed DLC comes out like the 30th this month for free. It's the Assassin's Festival. I don't know if you guys saw any of this. What it is, it's weird. It's like it's literally they threw in, and it looks like a dumbed down mechanic-wise version of Assassin's Creed, by the way. But they threw in a serious Assassin's Creed game in the middle of Final Fantasy 15 universe for no reason.
What?
I didn't know this was coming. I didn't see anything about this in the news. It's kind of like, here, this comes out in 2 weeks or a week or something, and it's free. But can't bitch too much if it's free. It's kind of head scratching.
So wait. There's an Assassin's Creed story in a Final Fantasy realm.
Yes, and like I've never played 15. So what is the main character's name again, guys?
I don't remember.
I don't even remember. And I actually like 15.
Does that speak to newer Final Fantasy games? Is that what that was? No. Okay. Well, anyway,
I know Locke was
Cloud Strife. His name is Cloud Strife.
It's Cloud Strife. It's Squall. Fuck it. Squall is walking around.
Zidane. It's Zidane.
Apparently,
have you guys seen the Final Fantasy 15 movie that came out before the game?
Oh,
Kingslave. I did. I have it on Blu-ray.
I really liked that.
That was fucking awesome.
I really, really liked the movie.
It's kind of like you need to kind of watch that. It adds so much to the game from what people have said. I've only seen the movie and not played the game, but the movie was well done. I liked it.
It was really well done, and the storyline was great. And I was really sad that, like, when I finally got my hands on the Blu-ray, I was like, "Damn, why did I start playing the game?"
But this kind of makes me sad. It screams cash grabby and just a pointless crossover to me, I guess. But for people that like it, have fun.
Noctis. It's Noctis. That's his name.
Noctis.
Sorry, I didn't mean to have a Tourette's.
Well, at least one of you guys found it.
No, I thought you were saying it's not this. It's not this.
It's
like
not this.
Assassin's Creed being in Final Fantasy.
That's why
I'm having this nerd moment where I can't handle two universes crossing. I was like, no, this isn't what's supposed to be. No, it's Noctis. I'm sorry, I had a Tourette's moment there.
The crossover with this is not as good as the reset button and first thing in the morning crossover that's happening right now.
Yeah, nowhere near it. Well, ours makes sense. Whereas
ours makes fucking sense. This is just
Whereas this one, I just like, okay, so did Final Fantasy 15 happen before the origin story that takes place in Egypt? Like, what am I looking at here?
Yeah, right.
I know the trailer. The line that "not this" or whatever the fuck his name said was like, "We've had the power of gods, but now behold the power of the assassins," and it comes off so sassy, and I don't know what it is about.
Don't tell me that like Final Fantasy 15 is supposed to be pre-Adam and Eve.
It's seriously, it's based around a festival called the Assassin Festival, and you see banners for it, and there's gameplay on the trailer, and it's just it's like a cosplay festival in the middle of the Final Fantasy 15 universe. It's seriously what it is, and I don't get it, but hey, it's
like I thought it was crazy when I played Final Fantasy Tactics way back, and I could unlock Cloud.
That game is so good.
Well, did you get Cloud?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, and I leveled him all the way up because when you get him, you have to be really powerful, and he's level 1.
Then he gets like the Flower Slash or something like that.
Oh
God, it took hours, days, weeks,
and all the things that you had to do to get Cloud. It wasn't a simple matter of go here.
No,
you had to fucking work for it,
dude. Like for fucking months.
Yeah, no, and I was renting that game.
Jesus Christ. Like I owned it, but like, I was a teen, like 13, no job.
You guys have
that's what I
didn't either when I had when we were renting it. You guys have no idea how many Coca-Cola and beer bottles I returned to bring that shit to Blockbuster and have like a bunch of change and be like, "Can I rent it again, please?" Like, God, my summers were spent collecting bottles like a homeless person.
The youth of today does not have that dedication.
Dude, hey, you helped your environment. Fucking
Exactly. I helped my environment so I didn't have to go out in it.
Other than that, I mean, that's what we got besides our games of the week. Tannen, I dropped the ball again. I did not make my way over to let you borrow Punch-Out for the Wii, but you had a replacement game this week up your sleeve. And we actually gave our good buddy Broski a game on his own to review. Why don't we let our guests go first this week, Tannen?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, the game that I picked this week was a shooter called Wild Guns on the Super Nintendo. It's kind of hard to find in cartridge form, but of course, thanks to emulators, that's not really an issue anymore. It's a game I highly recommend. I remember my cousins had this game, and I had never heard of it when I went over as a kid. And there's 5 levels total, and it makes me think of like those old arcade shooter games, where you actually stood there with the gun and all the enemies appeared in front of you, except this time your character is on screen, kind of at the bottom of the screen, and everything's happening up in front of you, right? Kind of like a Super Nintendo quote unquote 3D perspective type thing, right? And it's just really, really fun. It's super simple. People appear on the screen and you have to shoot them, but there's all kinds of different power-ups. There's tons of different enemies, some of them much harder than others. And every environment is really unique, and it's not static. So there's some levels that are static, but there's other levels where you will change environment slightly, or you'll go to different areas of that particular level. And it's one of those games that, for me personally, when I play it, I'd much rather play it by myself than with somebody else. And it's not because you can shoot each other, so you can't damage each other. It's just it gets really confusing when there's two dudes because you got to jump around a lot to avoid the fire. Because sometimes you'll have these guys with like machine guns that'll completely just cover from like the left hand to the right hand, and you have to jump over the bullets, right? And sometimes it can get a little confusing. Like, is that my partner's gun or is that bullets coming towards me? And I get kind of nervous. But it's a really, really fun game. Really super. It's one of those games where you can sit down, and as soon as the game starts, you instantly know what you have to do. And it's really simple. I mean, you jump, you shoot, and that's pretty much it. You can use the left and right triggers to kind of dive and stuff. But besides that, it's super simple, and it's really, really fun. I highly recommend it. If you haven't checked it out, it's called Wild Guns. It's on the Super Nintendo, and I'd give it, just because I feel like rating things, I haven't rated anything in a while, I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10, boys.
Oh, yeah. That was also one of the first Western games ever to come out. I love that
game. Exactly. And like how, and like, can you guys really think, besides like Red Dead, what other cowboy games are really that fun?
Sunset Riders is a really good game.
Sunset
Riders was fucking awesome.
Rings a bell, but it's not like jumping out.
If you don't remember,
it's a Capcom game, and it's fucking badass.
I was going to say, if you don't remember by the end of the episode, I'll link it to you, and I'm pretty sure as soon as you see it, you're going to be like, oh, that game's awesome, because it's
probably. Yeah, it's probably one of those,
it reminds me of Wild Guns, and I will say, it warmed the bowels of my heart when you told me you wanted to review this, because this is seriously one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
like,
same
just
here.
With that, the gunplay is like the Punisher on NES, where you can see the Punisher.
Yes, thank you.
It's like that, but what made this game break through for me when I first discovered you can jump and all this extras, that's what it was just like, whoa. And it made it that much more addicting. And yes, it gets difficult, but it's that good difficult where it makes you want to complete it, not throw the controller.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap at all. Like, if you died, it's... Exactly. If you died, it's because you jumped into a bullet or you jumped that second too late to get away from the bullet. It's not cheap. It never feels cheap. And that's something with this type of game that could be really easy to kind of fall into that trap of just making it like a bullet hell type of game.
Yeah.
Where there's just bullets everywhere, and no matter what you do, you're kind of screwed. It has a very good like the difficulty ramps up. It kind of like the last two levels. Or no, I guess I should just say the last level, the difficulty kind of ramps up, but everything before that is very manageable. And if you stick with it and you kind of learn some of the patterns and kind of know when to jump and when to shoot, it becomes incredibly rewarding when you beat the levels. I can't say enough good things about that game. I absolutely love it.
Tannen, you know we haven't brought back in a long time. I feel like due to our very good buddy being on, we need to do that. We haven't brought back a hashtag Gary Sucks in a long time. Our good buddy Gary listening. You know why Gary sucks this week, Tannen? Gary had this game, if you remember, at his apartment on in downtown Hagerstown back in the day. I was over there playing. He would never let me play 2-player because of that very reason. It's confusing for him, and I hated him for that at the time because I wanted to play because I loved the game. So Gary, hashtag you suck this week.
Now I got to ask you this, boys. Got to ask you because you have a choice between a male and a female character. Who'd you roll with?
I like the Dixie lady with the pink bonnet thing.
Yep, me too.
To be a badass chick.
I always chose the girl. Always.
The guys kind of douchey in this game. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, like the looks kind of douchey. You got like the fucking like Daisy Princess looking motherfucker that can go out there.
It's a Western Princess Peach with like a fucking goddamn big ass gun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everything you could want in a gal. And for Sunset Riders, my favorite guy is the Mexican with the poncho and the shotgun. He's my.
Oh fuck yeah!
That's my
go-to guy. Put that one from me.
Tannen, your game of the weekend, and to replace the punch out that I did not deliver was a tried and true favorite of yours. A game I know you could talk for 2 more hours about, but we're going to try to wrap it up in a minute review for you. What was your game of the week, Pally?
I don't remember. What was it?
Majora's Mask.
Oh my god.
Yes, thank God. Thank you for remembering me because I already forgot. Oh god.
All those westerns and there's Princess Peaches and bonnets just got you.
Yeah,
got him flustered.
It kind of made me zone out, and I was like, man, I fucking love westerns.
Now it's a whole different genre completely.
Well, I started playing Red Dead Redemption again, like this past week on the Xbox One, and I'm really into it. So, like that, then as you guys are talking about this, I'm like, I really want to go out there and play some Red Dead. Man, Majora's Mask, I fucking love this game personally, And it was like you guys were saying, like when you first played it as kids, like you guys didn't like it. I think I got the right introduction because I got a copy of Nintendo Power. And they described to me, they said it was Groundhog's Day meets Zelda. So before I got it for Christmas in 2000, like I already knew what to expect. I knew that time was going to repeat itself. And I loved the concept of it. Absolutely loved it. They also threw other elements. I think it was the first time ever that aliens showed up in a Zelda game.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yep.
And like it was just kind of like that offbeat Zelda game. Like I'm a big fan of Link's Awakening, and that was an offbeat Zelda game. This also was an offbeat Zelda game, but like in a 3D environment that started out so well. I mean, it was to me a sequel. Well, it was a sequel to, you know, Ocarina of Time, but, you know, you went back as a kid and, you know, Link continued his adventures, you know, after, you know, killing Ganon as an adult in the future. So to me, I loved the entire game. I thought it was awesome. I thought the villain was great. The idea of the sun crashing into the planet, everybody just being so totally retarded about it and oblivious about it for 3 days. You know, like we're still going to build this shit. The construction workers walking around, and the things that you could do and accomplish, as well as collect all the masks. I fucking loved that game. I loved it as a kid. I still went back and played it as an adult. We talked earlier. The part that got me, that almost made me throw my controller at the TV and say, fuck this game, was I got as far as being a Goron goes and got stuck in a puzzle. You know what? If you never played it, I'm not going to tell you how it goes. But I'm just saying, I love it. I'm just saying, in that puzzle, let the anger flow through you.
You had to suffer, so do you, basically.
Exactly. It's part of the magic of playing the game.
Was it safe to say this is the first time in the series? I don't want to say that they started running out of ideas, but they went off the rails completely. And then you'd see stuff like Spirit Tracks with choo-choo trains and fucking...
No. I don't think they went off the rails at all with this one. Spirit Tracks, they did.
Off the rails in a sense where like they confused the consumer. Off the rails, yeah. I guess. I mean, like they confuse the consumer, and like
it's such a pun to say that about Spirit Tracks, though, too.
I mean, they advertise Spirit Tracks. Hey, it's Zelda with trains. It's not like there was a bait and switch. Yeah.
I think it's the first game where they started trying to take a little bit more risks with the format. I think we could say that, though.
Yeah. No, because I feel like with Link.
Or Link, yeah. Well, there was Link too. I mean, after the original Zelda, there was Link that was completely different from the original. So I was wrong.
But even with that, I would say it was still linear at the end of the day, as opposed to this. You had to go back, I guess. There's a very Prince of Persia feel to it. There's so many elements that had this feel to Majora's Mask. It definitely, like, and yes, me and Broski, we didn't like it when we were young, but I liked it a lot more when I was. It's not one of my favorites in the Zelda franchise by any means. It's not even like top 3 for me, but I like it. It's a good game, and I'd recommend it.
No, I definitely love that game. It's
like listening to you guys talk about it tonight. Like this is the first time I've talked about Majora's Mask in Christ for years. Like, and I only really played video games with one friend growing up, and we both didn't like it. So you know, I never really went back to it. But now I'm kind of getting that itch. You know, I'm looking over at my N64. It's looking a little lonely.
Yeah, you should like definitely load that shit up, warm it up, and fucking give it some damn love. I say go do it, man.
Well, shit, if I was on the fence, I'm on the other side now after that. That was beautiful.
That's the best build-up you could possibly ask for. Right? I will say, if anything, I've seen 1 million pics this week because of the solar eclipse with the moon from Majora's Mask. I really took my time.
Oh, God, yes.
But yeah, a great game. If you never played it and you're a fan of the Zelda franchise, you're only cheating yourself if you haven't. It's a good experience. Just, I think there's better entries, but you guys, Tannen loves it.
I mean, there's better entries. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a really good Zelda game. Like when all is said and done, it's still an excellent Zelda game.
It's better than Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than Spirit Tracks. Fuck that game.
Yeah. You gave me, Tannen, last week, Terminator 2, the arcade game, the Super Nintendo port. Yep.
Sorry.
No, it's if you want to keep doing it, by all means. It is seriously one of the greatest movie themes, I think, in my opinion. Maybe a little played out, but when I was younger, I loved that theme. Like, I would listen to it on repeat a lot. Like,
with your bitch slap rapping in your cocaine tongue.
I never played the Sega Genesis version of this ever, so I don't have anything to say to that. This was a pretty close port, I guess. I haven't played the arcade one legit in a long time, but it was awesome back in the day. I remember as a kid.
It was, dude. I just played it the other day at the Dominion.
Nice. But yeah, it's a fun
Funny you.
game. Definitely the best Terminator game that ever saw its way on a home console by far. And that's not saying a lot, but it's a good time for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then it gets a little mundane. It hasn't aged the best. I will say, the best part about this game is when you shoot one of your buddies, and it's like, if you shoot a woman, she turns around and she goes, "No!" And like, they make this, and then these weird animations on these sprites. It's hilarious. But that's
the thing is now if we go back and play it, it's not going to be that exact soundbite. So I feel like we'd be disappointed because that was spot on. That was perfect.
Did she have a mullet too? I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah, she definitely had a mullet. What are you talking about? What's a curly ass mullet?
Did you guys ever play the SNES version of this game?
Yes, definitely. I own it still to this day. It's fucking. I like it better than the SNES version of the movie-based game. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm with that too.
Running around on that goddamn fucking the fucking motorcycle levels killed it for me with that game.
Ugh,
it's awful. The isometric. It was like Dick Tracy on the NES with the awful controls.
But worse. Way worse.
Or like Back to the Future.
Ugh.
Like top down. That was great.
Like Back to the Future was a little worse than Terminator 2.
I think the second Back to the Future game is worse than the first. At least the first one, it made it a little more sense. Like in the second,
is the second one where you're like wandering around, like kind of like side scroller
and shit, and it's like puzzles, and it's
it's really weird. Then you have the Japanese version, which is magical. Play that
Super Famicom. Yeah, that game is tremendous.
Yeah, that is good.
But yeah, that was our games of the week for the most part. Unless you guys have anything else to say about Terminator.
It's old.
I'm gonna take you down.
It's old as shit.
With your bitch slap rapping and your cocaine tongue. You get wow.
What just happened?
That's the best review ever for Terminator.
I was
just
reading
gibberish and jibber jabber and yeah.
It's Axl Rose,
And that movie's still awesome too.
You could be mine.
It's always funny to see Buddy salute your shorts in Terminator 2.
Oh yeah, Buddy.
That may be. It's. You know what? I'm happy. First time in a long time we've had good games to review, not fucking toys for the Super Bowl. It's TNC Surf Design, just good old fashioned fun games.
All right, well, Travis, your assignment, according to my order to which I put my Nintendo Power Cards in when I was 8 years old.
Oh God.
Your first assignment, and I'm going to try to read it like a person doing a trailer for a movie.
You're off to a good start.
In a world, Solar Jetman blast off to outer space adventure with one of the greatest sci-fi NES titles of all time. Pilot one of 3 different space pods in the cavernous depths of 13 planets, where warp zones, reverse gravity, ancient artifacts, and laser-toting satellites are part of the course. Can you finish the following planets without ever letting up your thrusters? Released September of 1990 by Trade West Company. So yeah, that's your Solar Jetman for the NES. I have never played it. I have no idea. The fucking art on the card looks fucking awesome. It's like this
Sonic Blast Man. I remember that game. There's like 2 of those games, but that's not what it is.
This looks like it's probably going to be more like a Galaga-based game. I'm guessing. I don't know. There's like this big mech warrior looking thing with 4 like jets coming out the bottom of it, 2 heads and 2 wings, and it's shooting lasers out its nipples. It's the best way for me to describe it.
Play this.
I'm going to take a picture of it and submit it to you for editorial reasons.
I'm actually relieved because I was expecting something way worse the way you're talking about it all here. I was like, oh, fuck, what did I do to deserve this?
Well, no, you might get bad games at some point. I mean, Bubsy's on this list, but I'm not going to make you do that because we've already done it. But there we go.
Band-Aid right off.
I liked Bubsy as a kid.
I did.
I liked him
for
as a
some weird
kid,
reason.
but then,
What could
like,
possibly
later-
go wrong?
You know what was great was like when you made him stand there and he would knock on your TV and it made the glass sound.
Yeah.
I loved that.
I loved the animations in Super Nintendo games when you just would put the controller down. I used to do that all the time. Like one of the first things I did when I would play a new game is set the controller down just to see what the character would do. If he would get impatient with me, if he would just like walk away or something. I was like, I don't know. It's just like a nice little touch.
Wouldn't Michelangelo like straight up pull out a box of pizza and sit down and eat some pizza or something?
Sometimes, yeah, it was something like that.
You're right. That is missing sorely in today's game. Just let the character stand there. They just stand there forever in like the third person games nowadays. Like Nathan Drake, do something, you mannequin, for Christ's sakes. Fucking
yeah. So he just stands there and scratches his head and is just like,
Sonic. Yeah, Sonic was an impatient little prick tapping his foot.
So he just tap his foot,
looking at his watch.
Son of a bitch. Man, I gotta play Sonic Mania. I know we didn't talk about it at all, but yes, I've heard nothing but good things about that game. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Tannen, my game for you this week. Have you ever played the game Mercs?
I swear I have. There was an arcade for that, wasn't there?
It's a top-down run and gun game.
Yeah, I played it.
It's like if Ikari Warriors was good, is Mercs.
I'll do Mercs though. I mean, I haven't played it in a while, but I have totally played that game.
It's really seriously one of my favorite games from my childhood, and I think
platform is SNES, right? Or is it NES?
If you have access to like MAME, I think it was arcade only. If not, just play a card.
Okay, yeah, I know. I've definitely fucking played Mercs.
All right, hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right, I'm up.
And it kind of makes me sad that we can't give Broski a game, but it was tremendous by far to have you on this week, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on the reset button.
Thanks for having me, man. Like I do so many podcasts a week, and this was so refreshing. I loved this show. I had a really good time. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you, man.
Oh,
that's
you're
sweet.
welcome back anytime, my friend. And
You just made me smile ear to ear, Broski.
Usually I only have that effect on women. I'm up in my game. The reset button's making me even better. No, but like I will say that if you guys do the Earthbound episode without me, I might block you and then immediately unblock you on Twitter because I can never block either of you. But there's going to be that brief second where you're blocked.
I definitely say we do an Earthbound episode around Halloween time because that game really I feel like fits in with that season.
God, even just in this episode, we talked about it, and I'm just like, I think I'm gonna beat it again.
Yeah, right. Right now, I'm stuck. I'm not stuck, but on my Wii U. I'm at where with Mr. Saturn.
Yeah.
And so I got to get past that, and it's just like I like put it down back in January, and I'm just like I you know what? I think it's time to go back.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it's time for everyone else to go back and check out your channel and everything else and what you do on the internet, Eric, before we get out of here.
You can check me out over at First Thing in the Morning. It's youtube.com/First Thing in the Morning Show. Mostly a gaming channel, but I do have a wrestling podcast with Travis every single week, the Kayfabe Today podcast. Last week, actually, was our highest rated episode in months, about almost 4,000 views the last time I checked. So thank you to everybody for the support. That's awesome. I know a lot of people that listen to the podcast are going to be listening to this. It's been great having Travis on. He kind of came and saved me in my time of need when my two other co-hosts, had some stuff in their own personal lives going on and couldn't be on. Travis saved me from having to do a show by myself every week because I like smoking during podcasts. And when I do it by myself, there's just no time. There's no time. So I'd have to go like an hour without a cigarette. So it was very unpleasant. So yeah, but yeah, I absolutely love this show, and I'm so glad to be a part of it this week. Thank you very much again for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome, man. Anytime.
Without a doubt.
I enjoyed this.
Tannen, 26 episodes, man, are in the veritable books. We're out of here. Until then, where can everyone check you out?
You can check me out at @Tannensbum at Twitter, and where can everybody else check you out, Mr. Travis?
Well, since Broski's on here, Mr. Reliable is my usual gimmick in the wrestling world, I guess.
Yes, sir.
You can check me out on Twitter, as always, at the Hibiki TMD. Check out Slam Pigs Podcast, Kayfabe Today Podcast on Broski's channel first thing in the morning. Grapple Listen on the future on Grapple Vision. And another big announcement, you can now check out select content from Hibiki TMD on the Grapple Vision channel. And once again, we said it last night live, but thank you again at Tonka Solve so much for the love and putting this out there. It means the fucking world to us here at Hibiki TMD.
And it's well deserved, man. Your Barry Horowitz video is your best video you've put out to date, and I can't wait to see more. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love the documentary. Like, I do a documentary style too with Heroes of the Internet, so I'm kind of into that style right now, and I watch documentaries all the time. And you know, yours was a quick shot. It was informative. It was fun, and yeah, you could tell you were having fun with it. So it was really, really good.
Thank you, man. Thank you, and thank all you guys as always for the love and the feedback. Until next 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, check out the reset button right here on Hibiki TMD. Until then, Tannen, let's hit it.
Reset button.